Hey, everybody. Hi, thank you for being patient. We were just getting all the speakers together. Welcome to the Child Free Guys panel round 2. My name is LeNora Faye. I am one of the co-founders of Child Free Convention, and I am your moderator today. So, Jared, do you want to start bringing our speakers up on stage, please? Okay, great. All right. We're rocking. All right. So joining us today, we have Dann Alexander, we have Lucas Chaney, we have Tom James, we have Cody Hetzel, and 3 a.m. in the morning in Pakistan, we have Sadiq Suleman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
And good night.
And good night. All right, that's it. We're good. Dan, get back here. All right. So, what we're going to do, some of you didn't know this, but I need you all to introduce yourself. Not all at once, but I'll call your name in alphabetical order, and please introduce yourselves, who you are, what you do, and we will get the conversation going. So let's start with Dan. Dan, take it away.
Hi, Dann Alexander. I am a freelance writer based out of Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, Canada. I'm the author of Planned Unparenthood, Creating a Life Without Procreating, which will celebrate its 10th anniversary next September. And my latest book is a collection of short nonfiction called Let Nothing Go to Waste. Available everywhere books are sold, in most places, I think. Okay.
All right, Lucas, you're next.
Hey everybody, my name is Lucas Cheney. I'm the founder of a child-free merchandising brand called #NoKids, and doing a joint venture with Cody in our new Buy Child Free experience, where we're getting a whole bunch of options and merchandise available made by child-free people for child-free people in a better online experience.
Thank you, Lucas. Cody.
Cody Hetzel. I am the founder of a micro-social network for child-free people, childfreefamily.com. It has an awesome feature of a map. So if you have that big question of where are the child-free people, they're on the map. And if you don't see people in your area, get on the map so other people can see you on there, and then they'll join the map.
All right, Tom, you're up.
Hi, I'm Tom James. I'm the author of Your Children Are Boring, or How Modern Parents Ruin Everything, which is available still on all platforms, more or less, which is about society's obsession with children and obviously how parents play a role in that. And nice to see you all.
And Sadiq.
Hi, my name is Sadiq. By profession, I am a lawyer based in Karachi. So I work at Sindh High Court, Karachi, and from a child-free perspective, I haven't really started any initiative yet, but I'm just active on social media and trying to raise awareness on different social media platforms. So I'm available on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, trying to raise awareness at my end. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. So this is our lovely panel. Let's get right into the first question. So what I'll do, I'll read out the first question. I will call on each of you to answer, and we will see what the discussion is. So the first question we have is, do you think men with children are more likely to be promoted at work, elected into office, or be rewarded by society compared to child-free men? So, Dan, your thoughts?
Well, I've seen it happen definitely with, in the corporate world, for lack of a better discussion, professional, whatever. Somebody might be thinking of, deciding on people for promotion, and I've seen a person with children get promoted over someone who hasn't multiple times, and often maybe it comes down to people sitting in the boardroom having a tough time deciding. Even if the qualifications are all good, they'd be like, well, that other person has young kids, oh, maybe they need the money. I've actually seen that happen. So, and for elected officials, we see it all over the world, especially in North American politics and definitely American politics. You have the family that are parading their family members out, the kids and all, and while they're trying to make these impassioned pleas to get votes, and they're using they're more often than not, they're using their family as props in order to try to get sympathy, so to win votes, regardless of what their policies might be. I've found in my experience, actually, some of the best politicians in this country, especially where I'm at, some of the very best politicians are not using their family members for props. But to be fair, there are some that also are unknowingly using them as props kind of thing. They don't necessarily see it that way. But in my experience, the best ones, I think, are the people who are out there using just themselves to get the message out and not needing to use their family members as props.
Lucas, your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts are that I agree with Dan that it does happen. I've seen it a few times inside of my corporate career in IT, where one of the biggest things people do around small talk is, well, how many kids do you have? Oh, I got a couple that are going through college, right? But I've been in the tech sales and sales world for the past decade. And so it's a pretty cutthroat world inside of that area. You kind of either sink or swim by making the sales or not within it. So it's less about, are you getting that promotion, or how are we going to help make sure that we get above the line to be able to help you to be able to whatever you've got to do for your family. But I've seen it less so inside of that sales world, just because you have to go and make it yourself inside that spot. But I have seen it, and it's a big part of small talk, whether you're with other colleagues or you're out there with customers. Small talk is almost always centered on kids.
And Cody, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would think so to a certain degree in some areas. I think if there's anybody in the crowd in Australia, I think that actually backfired on the politicians down there. Wasn't the prime minister child free, but the person running against them was trying to use that as like a leverage or a platform against them, and it didn't work out. But either way, yeah, in politics you definitely see them like they're doing the pan away with all the kids in the family and the husband or their wife, and they're all smiling and happy. And it adds to that, well, this person has raised a nice family, therefore they'll take care of the budget of whatever government entity it is. And of course, we all know not always the case. But as far as the workplace, yeah, I've seen it too. And it almost goes both ways, where if it's a job that requires a lot of travel, a child-free guy might actually get a little bit of an edge on that, just because they're able to, be away from home for long periods of time. If it's a job that requires you to come into the same place and just kind of grind it out, like, warehousing or something like that. Yeah, someone who has kids, the management might be like, well, hey, this guy, his family is kind of an anchor for him. He's less likely to quit and go somewhere else. So yeah, we'll hire him over someone that might job hop or leave us or whatnot. So yeah, so having kids, it's got its drawbacks too, but I think for the most part, it is looked at in a favorable way in society to help that person out because they have a family to take care of. And the guy without kids, hey, he'll be fine on his own.
Thank you, Cody. Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's very similar to the guys. And actually, it did happen. It happened with Theresa May. So I know it's not a male, but it happened in the UK where someone tried to use the fact that she was child-free against her when she ran for leadership of the Conservative Party, and that backfired tremendously on the other person. And I'm sure it can happen. I don't think I've really experienced this. But again, I think this is one of those major differences for men and women. So I think it probably does happen, but I think for women, it's a completely different matter altogether, and something they'd obviously be a better place to discuss. And I think in my experience for men, having kids and work is more like a social signifier, like Lucas said, almost a potential piece of small talk. And it doesn't carry maybe the same level of significance at work for men, in my view. Maybe it's a bit like, can you play golf? What's your handicap? So I think in some quarters there is still a slightly traditionalist view that if a man has kids, he might be more stable, maybe even slightly more desperate. We'll put the hours in because he's got more to lose. But I'm not sure. I haven't experienced it too much, and thankfully, the novelty of having kids appear in the background of Zoom calls has worn off, which is nice. And also, I think when in small talk, when it comes up, obviously I answer no, I don't have any. We then move on to football usually, and then from football onto golf or onto reading or holidays and that kind of stuff. And you just tickle this stuff off until one of you decides to pretend to go to the toilet. So that's my experience.
Thanks, Tom. Sadiq, your thoughts?
Yeah, so when it comes to child-free guys, there is, society considers the fact that the specific individual is not responsible, he's not settled yet. Because in the society, there is, there is an ideology, there is, as I said, a preconceived notion that if one does not have a children, one is not married yet, he's not settled yet. So to settle in life, you need to get married and have children. So society does not respect those guys, especially if they are 30 or 30 plus, like what I've seen, at least in my friend circle or in my family, that people that are 30 or 30 plus or even 35 plus, they need to get married and need to have kids. So that is how they get respect in the society, and that is how they get, get the term settled in life. And same applies in work also. I mean, as I've seen or as I've observed that if they are working somewhere or if they have a career, so yes, they do get promoted, or not only promoted, I mean, apart from that, they get respected if they have a family, because they are considered to be responsible. I mean, they are perceived to be responsible. So yes, there is a biasness. There is a biasness that I've seen, that people that are married and have children, they are considered to be more responsible. They are considered to be more serious in life, rather than people that don't have children and haven't yet married in life. So yes, there is unfortunately a bias there, not only in the society but at the workplace also. And apart from that, in that family that they have, I mean, in the peer group, or in their friends, or in their distant family members. So there is a bias there. I mean, child-free people are not, respected that much with people that have already a family or have children. So yes, that's what I think.
Thank you, Sadiq. I mean, it really does speak to the kind of cultures that we come from. And obviously, a lot of us are in a privileged position where we can be openly child-free and not get a lot of pushback. Now, I want to put Sadiq, you on the spot a little bit. Dan, Lucas, Cody, or Tom, do you have any questions for us, Sadiq, based on what he shared that you would like to ask him? Because there's quite a difference in experiences. And I'm just curious if there's anything he said that brings up a point that you want to address.
Something comes to mind for me, Sadiq, if you don't mind answering that. Given your profession as well, I guess depending on the kind of law you're practicing and work you're involved in, do the upper echelons of, like, so if you're in a firm, do partners in law in general, it doesn't necessarily apply to your firm maybe, but in the legal profession, do you see it being more or less of a bias, given the expectations of settling? Like, do you see more of that? Do you see more of that in your particular industry? I'm wondering if you might have some insight into that.
Okay, so for now, I have not seen or not really observed this biasness yet in my industry or in my profession, like being in the legal sector. So I've not seen any bias yet, but maybe for the lawyers that are, more senior than me, like in their 50s or 60s, and they are unmarried or don't have children. So maybe they have seen that bias, or maybe they have observed this in that, or in that fraternity. So there is a possibility they may have observed that, but for now, I have not really observed that, uh, at least for now. So there may be, some biasness, or some, you can say, issues related to those factors. But for now, it's very limited.
Thank you for that.
Do any of you three have any questions for Sadiq on that topic?
I mean, throw it out to the audience too, you guys that are out there watching us. This is live. Like, you can ask us questions, and hopefully we'll be able to see them and get to them. But we're here for you guys. We're just putting out what's going on in the mind of a child-free guy or two, or three, or five,
or four, or five.
Hit that like button if you're on YouTube. Hit the like button. It's down there somewhere. It looks like this.
Oh, we have our PR team rocking. Yeah, I forgot to mention it is live in case no one notices. Unless you're watching it in the future, then it's not. All right,
Don't
let's
forget
move on
that subscribe and ring the bell too if you want to do the full PR.
Well, there's that. There's that. Yes.
I'm so glad I get to moderate this panel. All right, let's move on to the next question. Have you lost friends because of your child-free choice? And please don't make me full screen here. You can just keep me off to the side. Thank you very much. All right, so have any of you lost any friends due to your child-free stance? We'll start with Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
I don't know if I've ever looked at it as losing friends, as gaining perspective. I think there have been people that we've sort of, I think, felt have gradually either we've pushed each other away, perhaps, but we keep a particularly small circle of friends anyway. But I don't know if I'd say we've lost. We might have irritated some friends with our opinions, although our opinions are nothing to be frankly irritated about, and I covered that in my book. But I don't know if I don't know if I say we lost friends so much as gained perspective. It's the only thing I can think of.
Thanks, Dan. Lucas?
Yeah, I haven't ever really lost a friend, no, because of being child-free. I have friends that don't quite understand it. All my college friends that I went through college with all have kids now, and we all stay really close together. So I've never lost them because they went and had a family and I'm child-free, right? We've been able to stay connected and together. I enjoy going out and hanging out with them, spending time with their family, their kids. That's all fine by me. But it's interesting to me that afterwards, right, all of my post-college relationships with friends and acquaintances that I've met, the vast majority of them are child-free, right? And it just so happened that they were. I'm big into cars, right? And there's a lot of people that are in the car scene in Dallas area that are child-free as well, right? They're just not as open and vocal about it, I'm living the child-free lifestyle like I am and wanting to go out there and create designs and put it on gear and try to get other child-free people into it. Right. But they are living a child-free life. And so I've got a great mix of both child-free friends and friends who have kids, and only a very small percentage don't quite understand you don't ever want to have any kids. Why not? And maybe got bingoed in some of the questions just because they didn't understand, not because they were trying to, denigrate it or whatever. And it allowed us to be able to have the conversation to let them understand where I'm coming from within it. And then they accepted it, and we were able to, continue a really good friendship.
Thank you, Lucas. Cody?
If I have lost friends, I haven't noticed. So, sorry, I haven't seen your post. But yeah, I don't know. This question was posed to us by a woman, and it might be because like maybe women do lose more friends when, kids come about. Like none of my guy friends are like, hey, like, will you come hang out with my baby and let's do yoga? Like we just have a kind of a different social scene that we take on, like just like what was said before. My buddies from college, almost all of them have kids, and when we do talk, the topic of kids doesn't really come up. And I think that's a huge difference between men and women, where I think from my perspective that the topic of children and what's going on in the family life comes up a lot more often with women than it does with men, and that maybe is what lets us keep our friendship bonds a little bit stronger, because it's not as polarizing. Like, we'll talk about whatever common interests that we have or our history or whatever. But I don't know. I think it'd be pretty hard for a guy to lose a guy friend over a kid, unless, I don't know, like unless they saw the child-free lifestyle as a massive opposition to their being or insulting to their family, and they don't understand what being child-free actually is. That would be the only way I would think that I would lose a friend for being child-free and being openly child-free. Like, Lucas said that some people have come out of the woodwork and told me, like in DMs, like, hey, I'm child-free too, as one of my guy friends that I didn't know, because they just don't post about it. So yeah, I guess that may answer the question.
I should have asked a pro-life question about Twitter to this question about losing friends. Tom, your thoughts?
I think Cody just made some really good points actually about the difference between men and women in that social situation as well. I do think it is different. I think, as Cody said, the conversations, just to generalize, the dynamic of the conversations is different. But I don't think I have lost any friends, at least none that I can think of. And all of my friends have kids, all of them. I can't think of one that doesn't. So, and I think when you have kids, there is obviously a tendency to buddy up with other parents, and which is perfectly normal. And I think some people can take that to an extreme degree. And I kind of wrote, that was what I was writing about to some effect. And in my view, the friendships are best when they're organic anyway. So, but I think with some, in parenthood, in some instances, there can be this sort of arranged marriage of friendship where you've met because you're on the same NCT class, or your kids are at the same school, and so you have to be on all the WhatsApps and all that kind of, and on it goes. And there is a practical side of that makes sense because family structures have changed and so on. But I think, in fact, I know from my friends that some of these friendships aren't particularly lasting, and they won't stand the test of time. And I also think that we all knew surely that all our lives would change, and we knew that when our friends had kids, their lives would change, and the friendships that then endure are the ones where you mutually understand all that and you allow it and enjoy it. So I don't think it even needs to be that big a deal necessarily.
Thank you, Tom. Sadiq, your thoughts?
Yeah, so for the time being, I have not really noticed that I've lost any friends yet, but I did a little experiment by stating to some of my close friends that I don't want to have children, I want to remain child free and stuff. So I've just noticed their behavior towards me. So the behavior of some of my friends has been really normal, like they said it's okay, but some of my friends, they have been quite a bit weird. Their behavior has been weird. That my thought process is not normal. My thought process is a bit weird. That why I don't want to have children. Is there any problem with me? Like, why I don't want to have kids and all. So I've seen their behavior and their perception. So there is a mixed reaction that I've seen in their behavior or stuff. But as of now, I've not lost any friends, but what I've seen that there is a slight delusion, or slight, you can say that the I mean, what you can say, the friendship, there is a difference in their behavior in that friendship, that there used to be, they used to be much more friendly, but they are now a bit more formal. So that's what I've seen. But in terms of relationship, there has not been much difference. But the main difference is just related to their behavior, and not to all the friends, but some of the friends. So yeah, apart from that, there has not been much change.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to go on to the next question. I'm getting a lot of pop-ups here happening all of a sudden. Whoever's doing that, stop that. It's distracting me. And now, okay. Have any of you doubted your choice to be child-free? I am just going to throw that out there, and whoever wants to answer that question, go ahead.
I can jump right in. I've never doubted it, and especially because I knew it at such a young age, like having a young enough memory from my childhood where I was like, nope, never, I'm never going to have kids, never going to have kids. And my parents and others used to laugh at me for it, because how could you be saying that when you're 6 or 7? I kid you not. I was that old and I have memories of saying this out loud. But and I covered something in my book that I did lie about it at one point in order to try to, I guess to say, prevent bridges from burning with my girlfriend at the time, and had led her to believe that I did want kids. But other than that one slip, I've never flinched from it once.
Anyone else want to answer that question?
I can jump in. So I don't think I've ever doubted it particularly either. I think, but I do think it's only human to have doubts about any of that stuff. And I think I wondered from time to time, but I don't think I ever doubted it. And I think when I realised fairly early on that if you're going to have a child and be a parent, to state the obvious, you need to actually want to do that. And it was never anything I wanted to do. And so I would much rather have potential regret about not having a kid than having one. And I sort of operated on that basis and then never, ever doubted it since then. So I also think that we know parents have their doubts as well. So, and regrets in some cases as well. So I think it's pretty normal for people to have doubts. But I also think, again, for men, it's different, isn't it? Because the window is much larger to make that choice than it is for women, and it just is different. But anytime I smash my leg on a child's toy around a friend's house, I lose any kind of doubts and just sigh that I've made the right choice.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
feel
like-
that, Tom. Yeah, and I would just say that doubt. So the point I want to make about this one is you don't have to always know that from a very early age as a child, I knew I wanted to be child free. Some people do, and that's great for them. But this, did you have doubts about being child free? Not once I figured out that's the life I wanted to live. But when I was in college, right, and I mentioned this in the first Child Free's talk, right, when I was in college, I was in a relationship. We had gotten engaged. I thought maybe perhaps we would have a kid later on in life. Potentially, but then after that relationship ended in a bad way, then I realized, what was I doing giving up what I want, right? And what I want is to not have kids. And so then I very much became a much more staunch, no, I'm going to be living a child-free lifestyle. And so since that point onwards, there's never been any doubt, right? I don't have any regrets. And that's one of the bingos you're going to get is, oh, do you regret it or not? No, I never will, right? So once you've made the choice, most of us don't have doubts. And if you do, that's also okay.
Okay, so can I jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so initially, yes, I did have many doubts that whether I can be child free or not, because in our society we are often scared that who will take care of you when you grow old and when you are on your deathbed and whatever there is that because we often assume that when we have children they will take care of us when we grow old, because in our society there is a perception, there is a preconceived notion that children are your, you can say, an old age policy. They are like your old age insurance policy, that if you have children they will take care of you in your old age. And that's what we have seen, that's what actually I am doing as a young guy, that taking after my parents and all. So that's what we consider it to be. But what I've observed in my life, that in most of the cases, that when people grow old here, and not only in our society but almost across the world, not almost like not throughout the world, but what I've seen, that when you grow old there is no guarantee that children will take care of you, whether you're a man or woman, whatever it is. But it's not a guarantee that if you grow old and there is an obligation on the children that they will take care of you. So if you assume that you will procreate and you will have children, they will take care of you. So that was the only point of concern for me, that whether or not I should have children, so they will take care of me. But since that, all thanks to Facebook and social media, that I've discussed with people, and I've even seen that people, they have a clarity of thought that you don't need to have children to take care of you when you grow old. So there are societies, there are even people around here that can guide you, that can clear all your doubts. So even if you grow old, that you don't need to be scared that there there no one will be around here, so to take care of you and all. So, and apart from that, there was an interview I saw that of Alison Jenny, when Alison Jenny, that she's a well-known actress and she's also an Oscar award winner. So she just mentioned, I think, in an interview, like I think it was in around April or May 2021. So she was asked that why doesn't she have children? So she's around that age of 63 or 64, I guess, in her 60s. So she said that I never married and I never wanted to have kids, because I rather regret not having children than regret having children. So that was a quote that stuck with me, and this is one of the main reasons why that I've also thought that I would rather regret not having children than regret having children. So this is stuck with me, and this may stuck with me in the near future also. So this is one of the main reasons why that I am now really, you can say, confident that I won't have children, and my doubts have almost almost have vanished now. So yeah, that's what I thought.
Sadiq, I wanted to stick with you for a second. We had a request for you to answer this question, if you'd be so kind. How do you deal with being child-free in such a conservative pro-natalist society as the one that you live in?
So for now, it is very difficult to express your thoughts in a society like India and Pakistan, like in the subcontinent we live in, because it's probably one of the most populous, or maybe the most populous region that we live in. So Asia in particular, so the total population of Asia, you can say it's almost half of the world. So if you add up China, India, and Pakistan, that's more than 3 billion people. Or that's around 3 billion people. So the total population of the world is around 8 billion. So Asia, or even the subcontinent, it's up to around 2 to 3 billion people. So when you talk about or discuss or even try to discuss about that whether you are or you want to be a child free, so people are like, why is this guy crazy, or what? Why does he not want to have children, or does he hate children and all? So it's very difficult to express your thoughts about it. That I don't want to have children, and I don't want to procreate and all. So you can discuss with your friends, but very close friends. I mean, society in general, you can't discuss about it. And being in a conservative society, like in my region, or or in any conservative society, it's very difficult to express your thoughts and to justify your thoughts, because people are programmed and wired to have children and to follow the society, that if one has children, then I also have to have children. And there is also an issue regarding that, genetic lineage, that who will carry your legacy, who will carry your, your genes, or your whatever it is. So, just to carry forward your genes, just to carry forward your family, you need to have children and blah, blah, blah. So it's very difficult to express your views, and regarding even anti-natalism, that or natalism, whatever it is. So it's very difficult to explain to people. So that's what I've seen, and this is one of the main reasons why I've not been very vocal in my society, and I've been very selective of discussing it with my close friends. So for now, it's quite difficult to express my views.
No, thanks, Sadiq. I wanted to do a follow-up there on that one then. Because of the conservative society that you're in within there, do you think that it contributed to some of the doubts that you had about, you just answered the question of, I think most of my doubts have now been taken away about I will end up being child-free. Do you think that being in that society, that pro-natalism area, is part of the reason why you had some extra doubts about this choice of being child-free or not?
Oh yes, yes, definitely, definitely. This is why I've been so doubtful here, because what I've observed in in my part of the world, and when I compare it with specifically to the West. So when I compare my society, or not only my country, but my my continent, or my region in particular, like countries like Pakistan or India or Asian countries. So there is very very little social safety net, or very limited help from the government, that they don't really allow you, or they don't really make you a critical thinker. So when you compare it to the West, there are quite a lot of progressive people, and there is a lot of progressive government. So there is a social safety net there. I mean, if you are not really, you can say, I mean, if you are not financially well off, or if you are not strong from a monetary perspective, so even if you grow old, so if you grow old, you have to rely on yourself. I mean, your family, or your people, or your life savings. So they are your saving grace. But when you compare it to the West, there are certain programs, specifically in countries like developed countries like Canada, like US, like Sweden, like Norway, like Denmark. I mean, countries that are high, that have a high development, human development index. So they are comparatively much more helpful towards their citizen when you compare it to the countries in the subcontinent area. I mean, in the Asia specifically. So this is one of the main reasons why what I've seen that people here that they have to procreate, they need to have children, and this is one of the main reasons why I was very doubtful that whether or not my decision will not, be counterproductive. I mean, it may have consequences for me because I will be left out, I will be isolated. And even for now, I've seen that people in my age group, or what I've seen that, that are 30 plus, that they have got married and they have children. So this really got me into doubt. But after discussing with people around me, and after observing people, not only in my area but throughout the world, so my doubts have now almost, have really diluted to a certain extent. So yeah, it is because of the society that it is still very doubtful for people like me to have children or not.
Thanks.
Can't unmute fast enough. Thank you, Sadiq, for your insight. All right, we're going to shift to audience questions. Director, can you pull up some audience questions so we can get them answered? All right, questions for the men. Well, who else would you be asking? Sorry. Why do you think society is so obsessed with having children? Kids, sorry.
If I may, I think it's society is obsessed because it's the expectation. This is what you do when you get older. You have kids, you settle, you come to some sort of place where you plant some roots and you have a family and you continue the lineage and so on and so forth. Stuff we've already sort of covered. I think, yeah, that's why I think it's just the expectation is still there and the understanding of the choice is still, still not at the level where I think I hoped it would be.
I would say that pronatalism is a hell of a drug, right? And in society, we haven't really been able to get the word out there. If you have a choice, and I'm flabbergasted at why it's such a big thing still when we've got 8 billion people on the planet. And you look at when we were only at 1.5 to 2 billion people, it was only a little over like 120 years ago, right? So our population has just absolutely exploded. It's a problem with sustainability and the rest. So I wish that people would look at it more, and I think it's starting to change to be able to let you see that of, shouldn't be such an important thing, but it just all boils down to pronatalism and programmed society. Economy is a big part of it, right? You need to have more workers produce more shit to people buy more things to get more taxes. So it's kind of ingrained in most of the governments that we have on the world to just produce more.
I also wanted to add in here because when you procreate and when you have children, so when you discuss this notion with people, so they say, "Oh no, children are so cute. Children are like so lovely. Why don't you like children and all?" I mean, they have that notion that children are cute and children are small and all, but they tend to forget that fact that that child or that little species will not remain little for the rest of his life. It will grow up to be like me, like you, like all the 6 people here. Because all of us, we were infants, we were children, but now we have grown up and we will grow up to, and that particular child will grow up to be like, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, or maybe 100-year-old. So that 3-year-old kid will not remain a 3-year-old kid. That infant will not remain an infant. So people have to realize the fact that, that child, that little cute child will not remain a kid. It will grow up, and just not that particular child, but all people around the world, they will grow up, and apart from that, there will be a multiplier effect. I mean, if for instance, if I have a child and if I procreate, that particular child will procreate. And just like when we just like we have a RAM, like a 64 GB RAM will now will go to 128, 128 will go to 256. So people have to realize the fact that there is a multiplication theory when we have a children. So they don't realize the fact that that, and apart from that, when you have when you have a child or if you procreate, so we are different from when you compare it with other mammals, like other mammals or like other species. They don't need to have houses, they don't need to have clothes, they don't need to have education, they don't need to get married and all. So we have quite a lot of factors that we have to consider before we procreate. I mean, especially regarding the quality of life. So this is one of the main reasons why people are so obsessed with having children. that they are so cute and I mean, they are so lovely and all, and they provide you a sense of you can say fulfillment. That's what people think. But I don't know why people think that, if you have children, that there will be a sort, sense of fulfillment and all. So yeah, this is one of the main reasons why people tend to procreate and all.
It's great comment, Sadiq. And they look at the kids as if they looked at them as a novelty. Well, the novelty wears off because then it's part of the population. It's, we all as people take up space, and more procreation means more people taking up space in the world.
Exactly. Yes, that's how it is.
I just to add very briefly, I agree with what Sadiq was saying around the fact that it gives people a meaning, and I do think that is certainly. I mean, I obviously I don't know about Pakistan but in the West, I think there's a theory that because we've seen the decline of things like organized religion and so on, I think that parenthood for many people becomes a sort of existential thing, or continues that and is sort of amplified in that way. So it can provide people with basically the meaning of life, a purpose. And I think there's also a slight infatuation with being a parent as well, and I think social media has contributed to that. So I think there's all sorts of reasons that unfortunately counter those more ethical reasons to maybe moderate the population. It's quite narcissistic reasons as well, I think.
Can we put moderate the conversation or moderate the population on a t-shirt, please? I thought that was just really, really great. I
have an idea in the design. I'll get something together.
Okay, Cody, Lucas, let's get that going.
We'll get on it.
We'll put Tom's name underneath there to credit that. All right, we have 3 audience questions that I'm going to lump together because they're all kind of on the same topic, and then that might segue into another question that we had. So the first one is, are all you gentlemen in a relationship are married? And then I want to combine that with, does being child-free make marriage less appealing? And then someone else asked, do you sometimes I hear that it's not that I don't want kids, but I haven't found somebody that I want to have kids with. Do you think it's possible that that could happen to you? So let's answer all those questions in 3 sentences each, please. Dan, we'll start with you.
So I had my vasectomy procedure, and I'm going somewhere with this, I swear, nearly 20 years ago. And at the time, I was a few months into a relationship with a wonderful woman who is now my wife. So I've been one of the lucky ones, if I can start with that, and then I'll let the other guys come in with their comments.
Lucas?
So, yes, I was married for the past 11 years. Recently a widower by the end of 2020, and dealing with getting back out and trying to figure out life moving forward and getting into that world of being able to help answer the second question, which was, do you think being child-free makes you less appealing in a marriage option? And not in what I have found, but I'm also very particular about, I'm going to go look for someone else that is child-free. That's a very particular requirement inside of what I was looking for when I went and started dating again, to find someone else and to be able to do that. And so, I don't think I fully remember the third question, but I think it was around the point of, if you meet the right person, then you're going to want to have kids. Right. And that's just not the case. You are child free because you've made that choice. Right. So a lot of people will say child free by choice. Well, it's a little repetitive, but sometimes it needs to be explained because people don't get that. That was a choice. Right. And I'm not going to end up wanting to be able to have a kid. And I found it very rude when I went and got my vasectomy that the doctor was sitting there with my late wife saying, oh, well, what if you meet someone else and she wants to be able to have kids? And I'm like, meet someone else. This is my wife. We're in it to the end, right? And so no. And then if anything, God forbid, happened, I would once again try to find someone that's child free. So I think it's a very weird question they ask you when you want to go get a vasectomy. Well, what if the next woman wants to be able to have a kid? That's on her, and she won't be dating me.
the right person is going to be the person you're going to be on the same page with at the end of the day, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Can we all yell that in unison, please? Because some people just don't get that. Oh my
Louder for
goodness.
the people in the back.
I forgot what we said.
Oh, you guys. All right. We'll rewind. Do you guys remember what rewinding is? Cody, your turn.
To get to the question, does being child-free make marriage less appealing? Being happily married, I tell my wife all the time, it's me and you against the world. And I mean it, and having a child-free by choice partner, it really does solidify things. And go back to the question we left back to a long time ago, do you regret or being child-free, or I think that was the question, but the answer is no. Like, you don't ever, well, you can regret it, but I don't ever regret it, because I've gotten to the point to where, like, I don't care if this bloodline ends with me. Like, I don't care about lineage. When I die, dust in the wind, out of here. But being child-free and having that child-free partner with you, I think it makes our marriage stronger. It will, be out and about, and, the topic might come up of kids, and it inevitably ends on, man, I'm glad we don't have kids. Like, it just ends that way. So if you find that partner, it makes things so much easier and so much better. And I know that's one of those, topics that comes up a lot in the, child-free groups and Reddit and whatnot of, my partner might be what we call a fence sitter, not sure if they want to have children or not. And that's a very important question to get figured out before you get that heavily involved into a relationship. So child-free marriage, it's awesome.
All right, Tom.
Just trying to remember all the questions, but
Do you want me to recap for you?
Well, I can remember Cody's because Cody just spoke, so at least my memory's not that bad, even though it's quite late. But so I am in a relationship, and the question around whether it makes it more difficult to be married or in a relationship, my experience is not. But I think you get dysfunctional marriages and relationships with kids and without kids. You just get, you get good ones and you get bad ones. And I think that you put a lot of pressure on a relationship with kids, that's for sure. It's a lot of people break up at certain points in their relationship anyway, and that can, it's not really talked about a lot of the time, because it's often the case that there's a sort of view that sometimes having a child will cement a relationship and so on, but it can also mask a lot of dysfunction or a lot of paper over the cracks. So yeah, I don't think it matters. I think you have good relationships and you have bad ones, and I'm in a good one. So and sounds like the guys feel the same.
Thanks, Tom. Sadiq, your thoughts?
Yeah, so yes, I have been in a relationship, and I'm not yet married yet. But apart from that, does being child-free affect marriage yet or relationship? So I'm not sure that it really affects any relationship, because I've not observed that it does affect any relationship, but it may affect marriage. Because even though I'm not sure about it, but it can affect marriage. But if you or your partner are child free, I mean, if there is a consent that you want to remain child free, so I don't think it should really affect your relationship or your marriage. And apart from that, if both the partners are child free, so the bond may get stronger, because there is not really a specific incentive to be in that particular relationship. So I guess it shouldn't really affect your relationship or the thought process of both the partners in that particular marriage or the relationship, to have children or not. So I don't think so.
All right, so we are closing in on an hour already. How the heck did that happen? I'm looking at an audience question and a few that I still had on the list and trying to think of what do I want to ask. So someone asked in the audience, are you simply child-free or antinatalist as well? So this kind of ties into the question that I would like to end with. Is it a safe assumption that a child-free man is pro-choice? So there's a difference between being an antinatalist and being pro-choice. That is a whole other panel, just to clarify, for those frantically Googling antinatalism. we won't get into too much, but there may be one or two of you on this panel that you may fall into that category. The reason for the pro-choice question is because, like birth control, abortion, that sort of thing. So just quickly, is it safe to assume that a child-free man is a pro-choice man? Or is that too much of a blanket statement? What are your thoughts? Whoever wants to go can go on this one.
I can, if I may. For as long, my earliest memories, I've always been pro-choice. And I joke that I'm antinatalist because I prefer being around the company of animals more than people. And that could be why I ended up getting involved in some animal rights and vegan-related stuff. So, but to date, I have actually yet to meet someone through my professional life, as an author and talking about child-free topics. I have yet to meet someone who has taken an anti-choice stance, oddly enough. And I figure because I've met so many people from different walks of life through my work, but I almost, if people assume that everybody's pro-choice, maybe there's a statistical reason they're assuming that maybe there's a good majority that are, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know if it's safe to assume anything, right? But in my view, in what I've found in my meeting other child-free people inside of the social sphere, is quite a few are all, pro-choice. I haven't come across one that has the differing view yet within that. I think that when you decide that you're going to live a child-free life, that question of, all right, should we have another child inside of the world? You've already said, no, you don't want one for you, right? And that's not what you want. And so you're automatically going to say, well, that's what I want about my life. So I'm going to side with the women and let them have the choice that they want over their body autonomy and have their own choice as well. And you want to do what you can to be able to help try and support that, because you know how much harder it is in society for a woman to be able to have that than it is for a man to be able to have that. So I think that's probably what is making some of that assumption of they're pro-choice, because maybe they've come to that conclusion going through that type of thought process. As to the first question of simply child-free or antinatalist, I don't think that every child-free is antinatalist. I think probably every antinatalist is child-free if you go the other way around. But I probably have some tendencies. Like, you don't want to give me the infinity gauntlet because Thanos stopped at 50%, and I'd probably go down to 85% just to get back to a sustainable number, right? So I think that's a unique question that was asked in the chat around that.
I just want to say, too, I'm grateful for that question, for the person who posted it.
Also want to clarify, I have met parents who are antinatalists because they decided after the fact that, they didn't want to have kids. So just, pointing that out there too.
I had someone say that just before court started. They said it, and it ended up on the record, and it was hard to contain my laughter.
Oh, that's awesome. We're getting some great questions. Keep sending your questions in. By the way, we are going to be wrapping up soon, but we will. Someone already said that there's going to be a third Child Free Guys Talk panel, and I think that's going to be the case because we keep getting questions. So if you guys are up for it, not tomorrow, but we will. So just keep sending in your questions. If we don't get to it today, or if you're watching this on replay, please send us your questions, and we will continue this conversation going. Does anybody else want to chime in on the child-free or antinatalist conversation before I do closing remarks, or get you guys to do closing remarks? Not me.
I would say that like, I'm child-free. I wouldn't say I'm antinatalist, but I'm not pro-natalist either. I don't think people should be having as many kids as they possibly could. There needs to be some degree of birth control and education out there, just so people know what they're getting into when they choose to become a parent, because people say we're child-free by choice, or they're parents by choice too. There's also parents by circumstance. They did not plan on having kids, and they did anyway, so they're parents now. So yeah, I would say I fall in the camp that is child-free but not anti-natalist. I have hopes for the future. Come on, kids that are watching this in the years from now, like, do better. do better than what you've been given. Hopefully the things will turn around. Technology, climate change, all this fun stuff. Sorry that we're doing this to you, but I got faith in you.
Can we shout out to our new audience on Twitch? The 12 and 15-year-olds that are probably possibly watching this. Hello.
They're like, who are these old people? Why aren't they playing Fortnite?
I'm like, what is? No, I know what Fortnite is. All right.
Wait, hang on. Who are you calling old? Because being child-free, I think actually, I constantly forget I'm 40, right? And I think that's a unique thing that we have being child-free, that we do not feel our age, right? I still feel like that kid that came out of college. Then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, no, I got gray temples. I'm 40. I'm the old man out there, right?
I like that you got a comic book store beside you, pretty much.
Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah.
That's like, I literally go, okay, this is the guy I want to walk in and, do like worst impression ever kind of thing. You got the total comic book guy happening.
Exactly.
All right, so we do have to start wrapping up. We just want to also shout out to Jared Hansen, who's running or directing the show behind the scenes. Thank you, Jared, our head of tech for Child Free Convention, also a co-founder. Excellent job. I wanted to do final. You guys, do you have any? Everyone gets to do a final remark. Dan, go ahead. Something you want to say to the world.
I want to thank LeNora, of course. Thanks to you and everybody for organizing this. And if anybody wants to look at some of my work online, I'm at Dan with 2 N's, as you can see there, alexander.com, Twitter, writer Dan. Buy my books online at Amazon or Lulu. Even if you just need something to hold up a table, they're good for that, I think.
Thanks, Dan. Lucas?
Yeah, I'll just close it out with one of the questions that came in during the chat when we were in the first one is, where do all the child-free men hide? And I'm like, we're not hiding. We're right here, right? And we'll be back for a third talk to be able to help answer some more questions and hopefully be able to get other people to feel like it's okay to go out there and talk about your child-free stance. And then if you think it's okay to go out there and talk about your child-free stance, we got a lot of merchandise for you to be loud and proud about being child-free. Check us out at Buy Child Free, Buy Child Free. Our website is on the childfreefamily.com/shop. We're on the social medias, making posts out there with the new stuff that we have. We've got collaborations with Child Free Girls and the Uprising Spark and more content going on there, my #NoKids brand. So go out there and get some stuff and help us spread the word. We're not in hiding. We just need more of you men out there that are child-free to continue to be vocal about it.
Can I use the pun amen just now? Sorry. Cody, final thoughts from you.
Final thoughts. Check out childfreefamily.com, register, get on that map. Like that's the big, like where Lucas has said it, where are the guys at? There's literally a map now where we can all find each other, and it's not a huge conglomerate corporation. Literally it's me. I don't care about your data. I'm not tracking where you are. Like just get on the map and get known out there that you're a child-free person, you're proud to be child-free. Which may be, one of the biggest hurdles for us as people is going out there and saying that you are child-free and not feeling like you're, growing a third arm out of your forehead. There's nothing wrong with being child-free. It's a super valid option, a very valid point, and be proud of yourselves and hooray, child-free.
Tom?
I would just like to say thanks again to you guys for running all this. Lovely to see the chaps again. While we're giving out URLs, please visit yourchildrenaboring.com if you want to find my book and other writing. And then also just to echo what Lucas and Cody were saying as well, it's when my book came out, I had a lot of messages from people who were child-free saying, that it's such a relief to hear from people that have the same experiences or feel the same ways. There's loads of us out there. There's loads of people that feel these same emotions about being child-free. So yeah, don't be lonely.
Thank you, Tom. Sadiq, your turn.
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank all of you for arranging this amazing session and to have some really amazing insights and to have a thought-provoking discussion. And apart from that, I just wish and I just hope that our community as a child-free community, it grows and people have more awareness about it. And rather than, people think it's being child-free is a taboo or very unconventional, there is an acceptance for it. So I really hope that we grow as people and as a community, and people just, people can have empathy for people that want to have a child free. they want to have a child-free life. So yeah, let's just hope and let's just assume that we can grow as a community in the long run.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today. This has been a child-free convention, child-free guys talk panel round 2. Bring on round 3. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Twitch account, and Instagram and Twitter and wherever else we're on. We're at Child Free Convention. We're going to be doing these events leading up to the 2022 Child Free Convention because, you know, the 2021 Child Free Conference was amazing. So we're going to keep going. We've had amazing all different time zones. We had UK, Pakistan, I was going to say Toronto, but Canada.
Atlantic time.
US. I'm in Western Canada. I have to acknowledge that there's 2 different parts of Canada here. So thank you, you gentlemen, for joining us. Thank you to our audience. Thank you guys for the questions. Keep sending us the questions, please. Our email is childfreeconvention@gmail.com. If you have any feedback, any comments, anything that you want to add, if you are a child-free guy and want to contribute to the conversation, please send us your thoughts. We'll make sure that everyone gets to see them. And I think I have plugged everything for the Child Free Convention that I possibly can. We are going to have a panel, a graphic coming up next that showcases everybody's work here, so you can see where to follow, where to find the books, where to find the shops. My name is LeNora Faye. I am one of the co-founders of Child Free Convention. I've been your moderator today. I'm also one of the Child Free Girls podcast co-hosts, and I have a lifestyle brand called the Bitchy Bookkeeper, which is about being child-free, if I can throw a little plug in for myself. Thank you guys for being here today. It's been amazing. Have a great night, morning for some of you, and we will chat with you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Up the villa.